So the COLA, cost of living adjustment, was just announced today, and it is a whopping 2.8%. It was announced together with a CPI inflation report, and that was 3% for the running rate year over year. Make that make sense. So our senior citizens, you in the future, you're going to want or need Social Security to survive in retirement. Our senior citizens are going to get a 2.8% increase, yet the CPI ran at 3%. And on top of that, we all know that the actual true rate of inflation is way higher than 3%. In fact, it is known that the CPI doesn't even track actual inflation. It tracks a basket of goods or a cost of living, right? That's why it's called the Consumer Price Index. So it's already under, the COLA is already under the CPI, which is vastly under the true rate of inflation. Senior citizens are most vulnerable group. Yes, granted. I've made a video on this just a few days ago saying that some senior citizens are vastly wealthy when they retire. I know that. But the average American, when you get to retirement, if you even have Social Security at that point, because it's set to run out of money, you are going to get a cost of living adjustment year over year that does not keep up with the rate of inflation. This is unfair by all standards, but in reality, it almost seems like either by design or just a poorly designed system, one or the other, it doesn't really matter, but the divide between the average person and the very wealthy increases every single year. Because if you have a cost of living adjustment at 2%, 2.9%, but inflation is 3%, 3.5%, and you do that year over year over year over year over year, you are just widening the gap between the average American and the very wealthy who have the ability to invest in inflation-protected assets like real estate, like the stock market, like gold. Now, you should be doing that if possible, but I'm not going to come up here and say everybody should do that like some other people, because I understand that most people right now can barely afford to get by on a monthly basis. So to then say, well, you should be planning for your retirement, you should be, investing in assets that outpace inflation. Yeah, no shit. Everybody knows that. Not everybody can do that. One more thing. So the premium Part B increase has not been announced yet, or the Part B premiums have not been announced yet, but they're very likely going to be $22, $23. So the cost of living adjustment was a $56 increase for the average recipient who makes like $2,000 a month on Social Security. So now you make a whopping $2,070 something per month. Yay. But your coverage for healthcare is going to eat 20 something dollars of that. So the increase is like 30 something dollars. Look, the government, we all know this, but the government is much more interested in saving money than actually putting money in your pocket as a Social Security recipient. Not only that, the government requires by law that you pay into Social Security. So you are paying into a system that is designed to fail at some point, because it's going to run out of money if something is not drastically done. You are mandatorily required to pay into that by law, yet when you retire and you are supposed to enjoy life, enjoy your golden years, and you're supposed to have paid into a system that is going to cover your expenses or at least some of it in retirement, you don't. That is why more and more senior citizens every year are forced into poverty. That is just, look, and if you get to your retirement age and you are fortunate enough to have a good quality retirement, you should be very thankful, you should be blessed, and you should be proud of yourself for your decisions. But if instead you get to retirement and you barely get by, just understand that is not your fault. That is a system that is designed to further the gap between the average American and the very wealthy. I'm not going to drag this video out more than it has to be. The fact of the matter is just how the system is. That is how the system is designed, and the COLA adjustment every year, especially since like 2020 when we started dealing with massive inflation, the COLA adjustment has not kept up with inflation. It has not kept up with the cost of living increases across the board, and for the next coming years, it absolutely will not. The gap will further and further and further. But I'll leave you with that. I'm not going to drag this video out for no reason. If you like personal finance, world economics, investing, you're in the right place. I didn't say this at the beginning of the video because I was just annoyed and, furious pretty much. But my name is Derek. I got my degree in finance. You don't have to. Look, I can't even say I was furious. We all saw this coming. It's just unfortunate that it happened. But if this video was informative, please consider subscribing. Every subscription matters. My puppy is whining because she wants to go outside. So obviously got to take care of that. With that said, I hope to see you in the next video. We do weekly videos here. A lot of the time, it's way more often because there's so much crazy economic stuff that's going on right now. But with that said, I'm going to go take care of this puppy, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.